Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I look at NBA Fashion Week for 1990-91 SkyBox. And I'm not quite ready to walk away from 1990 yet without dealing with this one really interesting little affair in this one super amazing set. The 1991 SkyBox set is interesting in about just about every possible way that you could imagine, simply because it is this mixed match of ideas that all fit with this one golden moment. And it could only happen in one set, and it did only happen in one set. And it's amazing to look at just some of these really interesting qualities, like the weird card designs that were realized by this cool effect. But also in the card back, they had this big display area where you got to see usually really good shots of not action shots, which was kind of a weird thing to see. And I was never really a fan of that. But there were a couple of lifestyle shots, and the lifestyle shots were really quite impressive. But they also had their school photos, and that's what I'm here to look at, is this weird array of images that were all done they're the normal Olin Mills backdrop, and they were basically like school photos. It was weird as a kid to look at them and see that, because a couple of the shots looked really good, a couple of them didn't look very good, but they were really like school photos. And that's something that's weird to look back at, mainly because when we look at these, we remember ourselves as kids with those same backdrops, having these same kinds of shots made, and here are stars looking the same way. And so I want to go ahead and look through all of these from the 90-91 SkyBox set, and I'm going to look more at the different phases of it. And I need to start off with honorable mentions, and I'm going to begin with the Dyron Nix card, which is kind of cheating because in Series 2 this would be a lot more common. But for here in Series 1, this is not one of these cards because it doesn't have the backdrop. This is just the team mugshot. But unfortunately for Dyron, this is the image that ended up on the back of his card. No fault of his own. If it had been in Series 2, it would have blended in with many others. But in 1991, this one looks just really lame. When the mugshots are tight on the other cards like NBA Hoops, you don't notice. But here, it just doesn't look good. So understand, this is no fault of his own. This is just the bad luck of what ended up showing up. And the other one I got to use as an honorable mention is Bill Lambert. Now, this is a lifestyle shot, which is perfectly fine. The first thing I got to say is, okay, this is Bill Lambert, and he's fishing with a rod and a reel. It's Bill Lambert. I figured that he would have been using a club to do his fishing. But okay, so he's using an actual rod and reel. All right. But the big thing is the fashion choice. Nobody dressed you this way. This is what you chose to wear. If you'd been on the Hawks, okay, I could kind of see this. But this is on this card. This is permanent. This is what we remember for Bill Lambert in his downtime. It's terrible. And yeah, I know this is the fashion of the time, but I don't ever remember seeing this, and I don't know why he chose this. It is just, it's a stain on all of our memories. So not a good choice for this card. But looking at the actual portraits, I got to start off with Bobby Hansen, and here I have so much appreciation for this card. It does not look good, but I give him great props. I look at this card and it reminds me of, I think it was the first grade for me. My mom, she dressed me up for the school photo, had an undershirt, had a full button-up shirt, and it wasn't until she got the shots later on that she found that I had taken off the outer shirt because it was too hot, or I was uncomfortable. And it's one of those wonderful moments where as a kid you do this. This is the natural thing that you do. And so she ended up with a shot of the kid in just a white shirt rather than being all dressed up. And it's a story she loves to tell. And I've always really liked the story too, because I was a kid, that's what I did. And when I look at this Bobby Hansen shot, all I think is it takes some guts to say, I'm going to go for a formal shot, and this is how I'm going to dress. I absolutely love it. I think that he deserves way more credit than the quality of the image that came out. So kudos to him for that. I almost hesitate to put this at the bottom of the list because I have so much respect for that, but it's not a good fashion choice. Not much better though is Sir Chuck and Chris Mullin. Here in this case, this is the gray shirt category. Now they do have different shirts. So Chris Mullin, at least he's wearing a polo shirt. Big help. With Sir Chuck, I mean, it's just a gray t-shirt. And I feel sorry for the photographer because it looks to me in these shots like the photographer is going, wait a minute, these guys are going to be dream teamers. They're going to be gold medalists. How do I make these guys look good? And they worked really hard to line these guys up so that they would look pretty good. And with Chris, he kind of pulls it off. With Sir Chuck, dude, this has always been so weird. Where is he looking? I don't know. It's a strange shot, but you know, they didn't give the photographers much to work with. So they do look okay, but that is entirely the work of how they were posed. Then you got David Robinson and Tom Chambers. And in this case, here they look a lot better. Now Tom Chambers is still using a polo shirt. The shirt looks a lot better. It's team colored, so that's good. And so he looks a lot more natural and relaxed. And then you got David Robinson in a full button-up shirt that looks like it was a shirt intended for Shaquille O'Neal, not for David Robinson. And what I love about this shot is I grew up in a world of engineers. I'm very much that myself. And in the world of engineers, it's all about the technicalities, which is, okay, I need to look good. I technically need to wear a button-up shirt. I'm wearing the button-up shirt. Why are you complaining about the fact that it doesn't fit well? That's not the point. The point is I did all the things I was supposed to do. I love looking at this shirt and going, David, no, this does not look good. It makes him look really gaunt and skinny. It's a button-up shirt, so he's checked all the boxes. So I give both of these guys credit for getting partway there. Tom could have chosen something better, but this works well enough. David Robinson did choose something better, and well, it kind of works well enough. Much better is Dale Ellis and Sean Kemp. Now here they're actually starting to get kind of fashionable. With Kemp, I'm not sure exactly what the shirt is that he chose. You don't get to see very much of it, but he's pulling it off a lot better. And with Dale Ellis, he has almost a GQ kind of a shirt that he's wearing. It's not too much, it's just enough, and so it's a really good balance. But here, these four cards really are the straight up golden era of the school portrait phase of this whole range. These four cards are the ones where you look at and you go, that is a school portrait. That's exactly what was in my yearbook, probably on my wall. This is the straight up true Olin Mills classic school portrait to a T. And it is a really fun, it's fun to look at these cards and just go, these guys are multimillionaires. They're at the height of the sport, and this is what these cards look like. And it's funny because it looks so much like the time. So, but if we're talking about this era, we can't get out of this without talking about sweaters. Sweaters had become a really big thing in a big part because of the Cosby Show. The character of Cliff Huxtable wore sweaters a lot, and they became really a big fashion icon during this time. So because we saw it in the Cosby Show, it became very much a fashion element of the late 80s and early 90s. So we would naturally see that here, and they are not pulling it off. But to me, when I look at this, I don't look at these cards I don't look at these images as ugly sweaters. I don't look at them as great sweaters per se, but I don't look at them as part of the ugly sweater phenomenon. I actually look at these as basically kind of high-end fashion. Not quite high-end fashion, but kind of a half tier below that. Nice fashion. Whether the particular sweaters work or not, that's on an individual basis, but at least they were trying, and trying is about all we can say with it. And then a little bit better is the semi-GQ approach. So here we got KJ, we got Kenny Walker, and we've got Isaiah Thomas. And the fashion choices they made are pretty good. The poses limit the range of what they could do. So I look at these and I go, okay, they look good, but I'm not really moved by them. And I think that this is a good time for me to transition over to the one case where somebody actually wore his work clothes to the photo shoot. So here we've got Spud Webb, and here he's actually in his uniform with the school portrait backdrop. And it looks great. In fact, I really wish somebody had done this across the board, because I think that everybody would have looked really good with a really good portrait in their jerseys with this backdrop. I don't know if there was some cost component that went into it, which doesn't make sense, because normally we get the mugshots and the mugshots look terrible. But here, Spud Webb shows these could look great. And true, Donruss would start to do something kind of similar with their studio cards in baseball. But in basketball, why didn't they do this? I don't know, but at least we got Spud, so props to Spud for that. But then we're now heading into the high-end fashion range. And we start off with Mark Eaton and Mark Jackson. Now, for Mark, he chose to go with, I'm pretty sure he's wearing a suit. I'm not quite sure, but whatever it is, it looks really good. Very clean, but also kind of relaxed. The collar seems to be kind of low, so you feel like he's still in kind of a relaxed phase. I wouldn't have been surprised if he had been wearing a low-cut sweater, where you can see a nice shirt underneath. That kind of a look. It has kind of that feel. So I like it. But then there's Mark, and he went with a leather jacket. Bold move. Super bold move. And a turtleneck, I mean, that's kind of what you go with the leather jacket. It's a good combination. It doesn't look great, but it is bold. This is the one that stands out, the one that you really remember. Now, I happen to like the fashion choice that Mark chose, and I could understand if some people think that Mark chose better. I'll let you decide. I'm obviously going on the side of Mark, but if you think that Mark has a better choice, definitely let me know in the comments below. We might get a pretty heated debate about whether Mark is dressed better than Mark. I really don't think so, but you know, we'll try to keep it civil at least. But they were almost in the suit range, but then suits were really more for rookies at this time. And I'm not going to look at the rookies in the Series 2 set because I've commented on it, and they're all in suits, which is great. But in Series 1, there are a couple of rookies that actually are in suits. They're just not the 1990-91 rookies. They're the rookies that had finished the whole season, and yet they are still in suits. So here we have Purvis Ellison, we have Tim Hardaway, and we have Mookie Blaylock. And it's interesting to see the three different approaches to the suits that they took, because in Purvis Ellison's case, it's kind of fitting with him. It's like somebody said, oh yeah, and you got to wear a suit. He got no advice, so he just went and he got a suit jacket, he got a tie, threw it together, and it's kind of a mess. It checks all the boxes, but it looks like somebody who doesn't really care too much, which is pretty fitting with Purvis Ellison as we saw him in his career. Then you've got Tim Hardaway, and this is sharp. This is so nice. I look at this and I go, see, now that is exactly how I would dress in a suit. Nice black suit, a splash of color, not too much, just a really good balance, kind of subdued. This guy knows what he's doing. But then you got Mookie Blaylock, and this is like a high fashion photo shoot. He looks almost like a mannequin. I mean, it's too perfect. You don't live in this suit at all. It is too pristine. I mean, look at the pocket. Everything is so immaculate. It's gorgeous. It's intimidating. Me, I head over into the range of Tim Hardaway and I go, okay, now that looks like I could kind of live in that suit. But interesting to look at the different rookies. But now that we got the suits out of the way, it's time to go straight up GQ. And we're starting off with Neek and Magic. And I love that Wilkins' card actually literally says Neek on the back. Now, in the case of Neek, this is like a tight pullover shirt. Doesn't appear there are any buttons. It's just a very straightforward, very GQ kind of look. Looks really nice, but nothing really exciting about it. It's all about really high fashion, and he's really got that covered. But with Magic, you can tell this guy understands it. He has been dressed well, posed well. It looks like this is just the way he hangs out all the time, which actually he might. But it's fitting that in 1991-92 they would actually have GQ cards, which would include Magic. He's got this down. He really does have this down. This looks great. It looks like a super casual GQ magazine photo shoot, which is probably exactly what it is. But regardless, looks good. But as good as these are not about, this is not the kind of thing that you look at and go, okay, now that is a guy who understands his own fashion. In both of these cases, these are guys that are set up. This is a professional photo shoot. But if you want to look at guys who know what they're doing, you look at Reggie Miller and Joe Dumars. In this case, you truly do believe this is a case where these guys looked and said, oh, okay, so I'm going to a photo shoot. What am I going to wear? I am going to wear this. And I think they're basically the same shirt style. It's just that the patterns themselves are different. But in both cases, I mean, they really know what they're doing. They look great. They look like they made the choice. This is about as good as it's going to get. And it's kind of a GQ urban look. It's kind of like the way that Trey looked at the beginning of Boys in the Hood. Looks great, and it's got that urban feel of this is what people actually wear. Not necessarily every single day, but if people wanted to look good, this is the way they would look. So there was this accessibility to it. Looks magnificent. And this is just about the only card set where we would ever see this. We would see it in 91, 92. There's some in there. I may do that. I may not. I don't know. I'll see when I get up to that point. But regardless, for this one card set, it's really interesting to look at these card backs, and primarily because this is school portrait. I mean, this is an Olin Mills card. This is an Olin Mills backdrop. That's what it is. And so it's fun as a kid. You don't really notice it. But as an adult, you're looking back going, wait a minute, that's what we used to do too. So really fun. But I mean, this is just such a weird card set. I had to go ahead and throw this in, get this out of the way. And I promise you, next time that I put out a video of ranking, it will be actually 1991. I'm actually going to move on to the next year. So thank you for putting up with this. Hope that you actually enjoyed this. It is kind of fun, kind of interesting, and definitely hit the like button if you like it. If you didn't like it, there is another button down there. Comments are there for however you feel about it, and I am definitely curious about how you feel about whether Mark does have a better choice than Mark. I'd disagree with you if you feel that way, but regardless, we'll see. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Check out my other videos, and thank you very much for watching.